fish report. Don't need no bait, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report, hanging at the fish report, hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Head and D tuned in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Fish Report Live. I'm Craig Fissinger. That is Ken Francis. We're your host. Thanks for joining us. Back in our sound room tonight, it's TK and Heavy D. We'll be talking to them a little bit later in the program. And out in Studio R, you know who it is. It's Covey and Kearns. Always excited to talk to them. Ken, another fun night on FRL on our last show of the winter sports season.
Hard to believe, Craig. It seems like wasn't that long ago, and we were giving you the prelude to the upcoming basketball season. Now we're talking, Craig, about the conclusion of the basketball season. Oh, my, how time flies. Great interview tonight, Craig. And, you know, if you'd asked me a few weeks ago, who do you think we're going to interview on the last night of the show, this guy would have been one of the last I would have thought of, Craig. But he is the head boys basketball coach at Springfield Emmanuel Christian. It's Dan Moore. Coach Moore has done a great job with the team, the Lions over there, during the postseason, Craig. He's had 3 straight big victories, and he's going to take on our local Russia Raiders Friday night in the district championship game at UD Arena. Really looking forward to talking to Coach Moore, learn a little bit more about Emmanuel Christian, and I'm sure on the other hand, he's excited to talk to us and see what he can figure out about our Russia Raiders.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We haven't talked about the Metro Buckeye Conference at all this season, so we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight and looking forward to that interview. Also, Ken, some big news came out this week. You know, first, Dayton Dunbar is in the tournament, then they're out of the tournament, now they're back in the tournament, and that is the subject of tonight's poll question.
You know, Craig, great question. You know, which school got the worst end of this deal of Dunbar getting back and winning the OHSAA court case? Was it Dunbar, Thurgood Marshall, or was it Bishop Fenwick? And, you know, Craig, you know, I look at this this question and I thought about this all week. I'm like, if you're Dunbar, you're practicing.
Yeah.
If you're Thurgood Marshall, you're practicing. Both those teams practicing for Bishop Fenwick. If you're Bishop Fenwick, you've got to prepare for Dunbar and Thurgood because you don't know who you're playing. So what an interesting story that's been over the last 5 or 6 days. Can't wait to see what our listeners have to say when we go back to TK and Heavy D for the telemetrics.
Yeah, if you're watching us on the Fish Report Live page on your computer or on your phone, all you have to do is scroll down, help us answer tonight's poll question. You can even check the results. And if you're watching us on NK Telco, as Ken just said, TK is going to have those results for you at the end of the show. All right, Ken, let's get things started, and let's go right out to Studio R, checking with Covey and Kearns out there, guys. Big regional tournament coming up this Thursday for the girls, D4 down there at Vandalia Butler. Kind of hoping to see our Russia Raiders in that game, but they got beat by a very good Tri-Village team last Saturday. Of course, Tri-Village is going to have their hands full with a pretty good team from the MAC, Kearns.
Yeah, Minster and Tri-Village, across the board, they're both full of great talent. Tri-Village can really fill it up outside with their shooters, Porter and Seiler, and also inside they have Downing. So they got really good offensive weapons, as they showed in the district finals against Russia last week. And also Minster, they have a great force underneath Courtney Pranger, who's a Xavier commit, and also all their outside weapons. Their inside-outside game is really great, and when they get that going and when they start playing well with it, they're tough to beat.
I think this is easily the best matchup out of the two. I think these are the two best teams out of the 4 in the regional. You're going to see a ton of great matchups across the board, but I think the biggest difference in this game is going to be depth. You got Tri-Village has got 4 players that score, and Minster's got about 8 or 9. That's going to be the difference. For Tri-Village, you got Prince, Seiler, Downing, Porter, and so on. And for Minster, you got Pranger, Kogi, Fisher, and so on. And they got a lot of depth. But I think that's going to be the big difference in this game. I'm going to take Minster. But Tri-Village likes to get out and run. And when we saw the Russia Raiders play Tri-Village Saturday, they scored 28 points and a half each team. And that's a lot for girls basketball. So you're going to want to see the Minster girls slow down the tempo and try to wear out these Tri-Village Patriots and try to get them to the regional finals for the second year in a row.
So you guys got Minster as a favorite, and certainly I understand that. But what if Tri-Village, they shot 8 for 13 from behind the arc against the Raiders on Saturday, if they put up those kind of numbers again this Thursday, I mean, there's a chance Tri-Village could upset the Wildcats. Don't you agree?
No doubt, and it's hard to go against a team when they shoot that hot from the three-point line, and Tri-Village can certainly do it. I think they're the second-best team, and I think whoever wins this game will end up ultimately be heading to Columbus here next week for the state Final Four.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree with that. Tri-Village, like we said, they can really fill it up outside, and when they get going, it's just tough to guard no matter what. Even if you have a hand in their face, they're going to knock shots down.
Guys, let's talk about the bottom half of that regional bracket. Covington versus Fort Loramie. Covington comes in at 20-6. Fort Loramie at 21-5. Two great teams here. Covington individually, to me, has the best player in the Southwest Regional, and that's Sammy Whiteman. Fort Loramie has Coach Carla Siegel. Her team's been there before. She's got great depth, albeit very young depth. And, how do you feel this game's going to play out? I realize Fort Loramie's got, maybe the traditional basketball power between these two schools. But, again, Covington's got Sammy Whiteman. How much can the best player in the Southwest Regional influence that game and keep the Buccaneers in the game and give them a chance to win at the end?
She can influence it a great deal, and that's a great asset Covington has at this time of the tournament, is you want someone to be able to score and help carry your team that far. Unfortunately, I think they're going to hit a brick wall here with the Redskins of Laramie. I think they're a step ahead of where they could be right now. I think Laramie is going to win this game. They got a lot of young talent. I can see them coming into that 1-2-2 trap pressure to try to get the ball out of Whiteman's hands and try to make someone like Jordan Corral do the work. I don't think Covington's as talented as past district champion teams. I think it's a great accomplishment that they won the districts, but I don't think they really have the ability of a great regional final team here, and I'm going to take the Redskins by about 15.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Although Sammy Whiteman, she's an incredible player, it's going to take more than one player to win a game, especially this deep in the tournament, and especially with a team like Laramie. I know they're young, but they work hard, and their defense is just I think it's going to be too much for Covington. Okay,
guys, so I got to ask you, I'm hearing from both of you. We've got Minster in the one game. We've got Fort Loramie in the other game. You've got two school districts there that are literally 0 miles apart. They touch school districts. You've got two traditionally very rich girls basketball programs playing in the regional championship game. Go ahead, guys. Give me a prediction. Who's going to win the game on Saturday?
Well, the first matchup was 35-26. Minster won. It was early in the season. A lot of people were surprised by that, but I wasn't surprised. I know the Redskins are a very good team, and they're ahead of schedule, I think, right now. But I'm going to take Minster here, and I've been calling on Minster all year, and I'm going to stick to it because I really do think they're the best team in this Division IV area and perhaps the whole state of Ohio. That depth is going to be big. The inside playing of Pranger and Kogi is going to be a powerful combination that the Redskins have shown they haven't been able to stop. They struggle with Larissa Poling from time to time, and even Macy Hulskamp from Anna. So I think that's something that's really going to be hurting for Laramie, but Laramie works best when they can penetrate and drive past the defense. But I think Minster has one of the most staggering defenses in all the area.
Yeah, just like early in the season, Minster was the favorite to go to state, and I'm going to stick with it as well. They're just across the board, their talent, I think, is just when you put it up against other teams like this, I mean, they're just too much. And especially against Laramie. Laramie really hasn't had an answer inside for many teams, like you said, Larissa Poling. And even with Courtney Pranger, I think to stop her, they're going to need everything. And even with their outside game, I think Minster's just going to be too much.
And I think you're going to see at least three of these four teams. I'm going to say in particular Fort Laramie, Minster, and Tri-Village. These are going to be a lot of teams that you're going to see over here the next couple of years. A lot of these guys return a lot of the same talent. So I guarantee you, I will put a lot of money on it now that you're going to see those three same teams in the regional next year.
Well, I got to agree with you guys and agree with those picks as well. But, going to be some great basketball over there, some four really nice basketball teams. And like you said, Minster, I think, really might be the favorite, but they've also got the toughest route to get out of that regional. I mean, Tri-Village and playing either Fort Laramie or Covington there, I think they've got a very difficult task ahead of them. However, I think I got to agree with you. They got great talent over there, as does Fort Laramie, Tri-Village, and Covington.
All right, it's great stuff, guys, and thanks for that. You know, Ken, one thing you hear a lot about during the season is to be successful, you have to have a good bench. But you look at a team like Tri-Village, and they beat the Raiders last week. Our Raiders with really without a bench. I mean, they had their 5 starters, not a single one of them had less than 29 minutes, and that's really how they beat us. And then you look at a team like let's go on the boys' side tonight. Versailles gets beat by Cincinnati Madeira. They did it with their starting 5. You know, they had 3 kids that came off the bench. Not a single one of those kids off the bench had a point, had a rebound, or had an assist. So,
wow.
you know, you talk about having a bench, but you know, and a lot of times it just comes down to your starting 5. You got good 5 starters, and as long as they don't get in foul trouble, you can have some success. And
I'd agree with that. And if you'll notice, a lot of the officiating in the postseason, they seem to be letting the kids play. So foul trouble, to me, has become less of an issue, whether it be on the girls' side or the boys' side. I think officiating has kind of stepped back a little bit. Not that it's been bad, but I think they've just had the idea of, okay, we're not going to get any of these kids in foul trouble. We're going to let them play, and we're going to move this game right along. And I think that's got a lot to do with it.
I agree with that. And that's why you've seen that success again with Tri-Village last week. So good stuff there. And with that, we're going to take a short break, but stay right there. When we come back, we're going to talk some boys basketball, including that big interview with Emmanuel Christian coach Dan Moore.
My father said it's time to be home man, but don't go and talk in the motherland. You were born with heart, raised on pride. This vinegar runs through your bloodline. Oh, 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 blooded, bruised, and slain. Oh, 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 pride in this name. Well, the skies run deep within this blue. False used to devise by foolish views. Religious divide among the may create civil war on my family land. Oh, 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 blood and bruised and slain. Oh, 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 pride in this name.
And welcome to the second half of Fish Report Live. Before the break, we were talking some regional girls basketball. Now going to talk a little district boys basketball. And before we get to that, Ken, one conference we haven't talked about at all this season is the Metro Buckeye Conference. So let's take a quick look at their standings and see how things finished up over there.
Well, Craig, when you look at the overall standings, Troy Christian, Division III team there, Craig, won the league at 12-1. Or 13-1, excuse me, 20-3 overall, and you know, some good schools, some good records down through there. But when you look towards the bottom of the league standings, Craig, you're going to find Emmanuel Christian and Middletown Christian. Emmanuel Christian finished 6-8, Middletown Christian 3-11, Craig. But interestingly enough, these are the two teams that have escaped out of their sectionals and will playing for district championship games Friday night. Emmanuel Christian, of course, against Russia, and Middletown Christian, of course, against Fort Loramie.
Yeah, and for Emmanuel Christian to get to where they're at, they actually had to beat number 3 seed Franklin Monroe. Then they had to beat number 5 seed Tri-Village. And pretty amazing stuff there. And one big reason for their success is their head coach, Dan Moore. We're happy to have him live on the phone right now. Coach, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Good evening, guys. How are you?
Doing great. Well, listen, Ken and I were just going over those Metro Buckeye Conference standings, Coach, and there you are in 6th place in the conference, and right behind you is Middletown Christian. You two are the only ones left in tournament, so how do you explain that, Coach?
I think you've got a couple teams that, we competed. We had some ups and downs, during the season, and just have managed to put a few things together here for the postseason that has been able to extend us.
Well, listen, let's talk about that sectional championship a little bit, or over Tri-Village. You know, you head into the locker room during that game. You're down at halftime, 22-19. You come out of the locker room, you outscore them 18-8 in the third, 24-18 in the fourth. Coach, what turned things around there in that game?
The biggest thing that we talked about at halftime is I really felt like during the second quarter we had gotten away from our game plan, and our shot selection was not good. Our defense had kind of faltered. And so, halftime was all about getting back to the original game plan. And fortunately, the guys responded well and came back out and had a great third quarter.
Coach, hi, this is Ken. For our listeners out there tonight that don't know a whole lot about the Lions, let's talk a little bit about your young group of players. You seem to get the bulk of your scoring from some really good young talent on this team. Can you explain to our listeners, who these kids are, how old they are, and why they're important to your team?
Sure. Our leading scorer, Adonis Davis, he's about 18 points a game, 8 rebounds. Adonis is a junior. He's been playing on my team since he was a freshman and just really expanded his role this year. We look for a lot more out of him this year as a scorer and a rebounder, and he's just really stepped up. Our second leading scorer is Fred Shropshire. He's actually a sophomore. He's our second leading scorer and our second leading rebounder. And, Fred had a great freshman year last year and back with a good sophomore year. And these guys have kind of been the guys that have led us here in the postseason as well.
Coach, let's talk about playing at the University of Dayton Arena Friday night. Obviously it's a big venue. It's a great environment to play in. And like the Russia Raiders, or for most of the kids on the Russia team, it'll be their first visit to that facility, as well as Emmanuel Christian's. Tell us how important that is for both of these teams and what adjustments they might need to make.
Yeah, the interesting thing about stepping on a floor like that is, I'm a big Hoosiers fan. It feels like a Hoosiers moment. And, I think if you can get your kids to step on the floor, fortunately we're going to be able to have a practice there tomorrow, spend about an hour on the floor. If you can kind of get them over that initial, the bigness of it, the big feel, I think we'll be okay.
Coach, this is your first ever visit to the district championship game. Not only is it important to you, your kids, but also the entire Emmanuel Christian community of fans. Explain to us how important this game is and how your postseason, how important that is for your program.
It's huge for our school. We've had some success with bowling and track, making it beyond districts and into state, but none of our team sports have ever made it to the district level. So it's a real big thing for our student population. I think it's also big for the Springfield community, especially with a team like Catholic Central there as well on Friday night. It's just a real great thing for our school and our community.
Hey, Coach, one more question before we let you go. But our local paper up here, the Sydney Daily News, has a great sports editor by the name of Bryant Billing. I think you know him. He shared with us a feature that he did on you several years ago, and it was a great article explaining how you coached at Emmanuel Christian Academy 10 years ago with a lot of success. You actually left there for a short while, and then you came back again to a program that was kind of suffering a little bit to turn things around. Coach, what's the biggest key in having a successful program like you've had, or turning things around?
Yeah, that's a great question. And first off, you've got a quality individual in Bryant Billing. Miss him down this way. I know he does a great job for you guys up there, but I think when it comes down to it, it's building a perspective and culture with your students and with your athletes that they've got to have buy-ins to what we're doing, and they've got to have buy-in together. It can't just be one guy. It can't just be a couple guys. Everybody's got to embrace it, and that's the biggest thing, and I think the biggest turn that we've had this year, especially the last half of the season.
Well, listen, Coach, from Fish Report Live, the folks up here in Shelby County and over here in the Russia network of viewing area, and the rest of us up here, wish you good luck. Congratulations on a great postseason run that you guys have had. We'll definitely be seeing you Friday night down there on Blackburn Court, and be proud of what you've done for that team, the school district, and the community.
Tim and Ken, thank you very much. We'll see you Friday night. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. All right, that was the head coach of Emmanuel Christian Academy, Dan Moore, and Ken. It's got to be awful exciting, like you said, first time at the district for them. So I mean, how much fun that must be for their community, the cheerleaders we saw there, for everyone there as part of that program.
Absolutely, Craig, and I remember playing Emmanuel Christian in the Piqua regional, the Piqua sectional, back about maybe 8, 10, 12 years ago, something like that. We played them at Piqua. It was one of their first years as an OHSAA team. And, it was fun back then playing them because it was a team, nobody had really even heard of before. But we've obviously, everybody knows about them now. We're going to get a very good feel for him Friday night. And I'm sure he'll have his team ready to play. Coach Cardania and the Russia Raiders, they'll be more than ready to play. And it's going to be a fun environment to watch a great basketball game.
Yeah, nobody to take lightly either. We talk about Middletown Christian playing Fort Laramie, and kind of seems like a mismatch there, but this is a Middletown Christian team that won in overtime last week, 101-99, so they can put some points up.
They can put some points on the board, and the team Russia's playing, Emmanuel Christian, Craig, they knocked off a very good Franklin Monroe team, actually pretty easily, by like 13 or 15 points, turned around and beat Tri-Village. So, Coach Cardania, I'm sure, is telling his Russia Raiders, hey, the most important game on our postseason tournament run right now is Friday night. This is a team we're focused on. We'll worry about what happens after that game, but he'll have his team ready to go, and I'm sure the boys will be as well.
All right, well, listen, let's go back to the sound room and check in with those guys back there one more time this winter sports season. There's TK and Heavy D. And, guys, we talked some regional girls basketball. We talked some district boys basketball. If you guys could pick one team or give me something here to end this season, you got any exciting things you can talk about, somebody that can win a state championship? What's on your mind?
Well, I did a little looking around and seeing what's out there over the last couple of days, and a name popped up that a lot of people might remember, some people might not. Joe Jakubic. You don't remember him? Played for the Zips back in the early 80s, scored over 2,000 points at second in the OVC, still holds that record. Went on to coach at St. Vincent St. Mary's for the girls. He is now the head coach of Mansfield St. Peter's. They are only 25-0 right now up in the Canton district. They are averaging somewhere over 70 points a game in that tournament right now, and they are on fire. They are led by Elijah Cobb, who also scored his 1,000th point as a high school basketball player towards the end of this season. A really nice team up there, and that's a team I'm looking for. They're going to make some noise. They're going to keep rolling, and it's somebody everybody around here should be paying attention to when it gets to the state tournament.
Well, they're the same team that played Fort Laramie in 1977 in that state championship team, Mansfield St. Pete. So two teams right there that are playing very well right now. Very interesting. What about you, Heavy D? What's on your mind?
Yeah, my thoughts aren't quite as deep as that, nor is my research. I'm going to go with a double MAC prediction right now. I'm looking at number 5 St. Henry on the boys team to making a decent run here, and I'm going to go with the girls from Minster. Inside, outside, transition play. They got a nice team. Coach Woods has done a nice job with them, and look for Minster Wildcats to make a nice run.
Those St. Henry boys, we talked about them the other week and how tough that their sectional was, that super sectional that they're in. And, if they could just get out of there, how things might get easier for them.
Coach Eric Rosenbach, head coach of the St. Henry Redskins, Russia alumni, doing a great job over there in Redskin country, Craig. And I hear a lot about St. Henry and their talk, and I've seen them play. They got a really nice basketball team. But, boy, I'll tell you what, the Marion local Flyers, Craig, I mean, they are long, they are athletic, they're strong, they're big. I've seen Marion local play, and, boy, I tell you what, they are just tough all the way around on both ends of the floor. you know, that's going to be a great district championship game. But, boy, if I had to predict a winner between Marion Local and St. Henry, I'd probably have to go with some blue and gold there. I mean, they look really, really athletic and strong when I seen them play.
You know, we talked to Coach Guttemiller a few weeks ago on this show, and we talked about how long it takes them to get going because they're coming right out of football season. That month of December is almost like practice for them.
Right, exactly.
And you know, you get to January till things start going there, and Russia played them there towards the end of the season. We saw how good they are at the end of the season.
Yeah, you know, they played a very respectable New Bremen team last night, Craig. They had a running clock almost the whole second half. I mean, and here's a New Bremen team, Craig, that beat 18-3 Upper Scioto by 30 points. And Marion Local, they just took them to the woodshed. I mean, this thing was a blowout. So you know, anything can happen. St. Henry, again, Coach Rosenbeck, he'll have his kids fired up. He'll have a game plan in place. He's going to have to play a very, very good basketball game to beat Marion Local. I think it's going to be a great basketball game, but I've been very, very impressed with Coach Guttemiller and his Flyers.
All right, good stuff there, guys. And hang in there because we got one more thing to get to, and that is tonight's poll question, which was a very interesting one. Ken, why don't you read that for our viewers again?
Great question to round out the season, Craig. Which school got the worst end of the deal from the Dunbar versus OHSAA court case? Was it Dunbar, Thurgood Marshall, or was it Bishop Fenwick? TK, what are the telemetrics saying?
Telemetrics say 60%, 67% are saying Thurgood Marshall got the worst end of that deal.
Well, they're not playing anymore, are they? They're the one team out of those three that aren't playing right now.
You're right there.
Yep, they got notched.
Thanks to some grainy video.
Yep.
All right, great stuff, guys. And with that, that's going to wrap up tonight's show. We do want to say special thanks to Emmanuel Christian coach Dan Moore for joining us on the show. Ken, I, and the crew are going to take a couple weeks off and get ready for the spring sports season coming up here at the end of March. So until then, have a great rest of the month, and we'll see you soon.
Hanging at the fish report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull when you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report.